Welcome to the Church Explained podcast, a conversation to grow your leadership and build your church. Now, today is going to be a little bit different.
Yes.
It's the random podcast today,
The
Nathan, isn't
random
it?
podcast.
The random.
And it could be very random.
It could be random. This could be a success. It's certainly an experiment.
Yes.
So
yes.
here's what we're going to do. We're going to we've got some topics here, some subjects in our coffee cups today, and we're just going to randomly pick a question out or a subject, and we're going to just talk around that subject together.
Yeah.
So I think it could be fun. It'll let people get to know us a little bit more.
It will. And hopefully it'll encourage you to send us your questions.
Because that's what we want. We want some questions from you. Lots of people are asking us questions, but not necessarily always sending them in.
No.
So if you want to send in a question, maybe you're thinking around leadership or growth, development, hey, DM us, send it in to us, and hopefully we can answer that question in our next random podcast. If it's going to be successful.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I think it will be.
I think it's going to be fun anyway.
So, hey, shall we start? Shall we start with you?
Yes.
Right, so I'm going to go in the cup. I haven't a clue what is going to come out.
No.
And neither do you.
No.
But we know it's something
that
could be useful for you.
Here we go.
I'm going to try and read your writing. So we've got something around... Oh, a good one.
Okay.
We want to talk to you about transition.
Transition.
And the reason we want to talk about that is because your role's changed this year.
Yes, it has. So still oversee youth. I'm youth pastor, but now I've become campus pastor at our Chesterfield campus. And so, transition has been a big part of this past year for myself and my wife and family. But it's also been a big part for you. It
has. But before we get into me, I want to come back to you.
On,
so let's try and figure out what's been the biggest challenge for you in regards to transition?
I would say the biggest challenge is knowing how much to do, how quickly.
Right.
So you transition into a role and, transition to becoming campus pastor and you have all of these ideas, you have all of this stuff that you want to do.
Because you've been thinking about all that stuff, haven't you? Even before you have a role, you're thinking about all that stuff.
Yeah, so this is what I'd love to do, and then it's, so how do I do that?
Yeah.
When do I do it? How quickly without rocking, because our Chesterfield campus is healthy,
solid, strong,
good teams, all of that, but there are little things that might want to change and tweak and all of that. And how much do you do, at what time, and when do you do it? Is it too early? Is it too late?
I
guess that's been the biggest challenge, and still is, because that only started in September 2021. The role, it still is the challenge of, do we do that now or do we wait?
When we do those changes. And I suppose like every leader's thinking about that when they have a transition or a change in leadership. What do I do first? I suppose is a good question, really, isn't it? And have you figured it out?
No. No. Taken lots of advice. And I think even some of our podcasts and some of the things that we've done have really helped in terms of thinking. But you can speak to one person and they'll, you need to do it like straight away. Speak to someone else and they're well, just, ease it and do that. And so I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that like communication is key.
I agree.
So
with that.
communicating, and so for me, communicating with my leaders, communicating with those who are leading me as well around some of those ideas to get their thoughts on that. And is that, is it a good idea to do? So I think communication is a big key for that.
So how are you feeling about the sort of future and that sort of going into that role of transition? How do you feel about it? That change of role now. Did you have to change your thinking a little bit, or
I think
was it already there?
Yeah, I think my thinking was already there.
Okay.
So a little bit of my story is that we launched into a place called Derby, and I was campus pastor there, and then we handed that on. Came back to Chesterfield to be part of the team in Chesterfield, and then now a Chesterfield campus pastor. So we've been part of that. As a campus pastor and thinking in that thinking before. Chesterfield is on a much larger scale than Derby was, and that was like pioneering. Here's a church and a campus that's been around 35 years, and now I'm leading that campus and leading people who've been in the church since I was a kid.
Yeah, and I suppose leading it still with the senior leader.
Yep.
Still there, which is obviously your dad. That may come up as a question later. We don't know.
Who knows?
But your dad and obviously your mum, senior leaders here at Icon Church, they're still around every Sunday, aren't they? Really? So you've got to lead, I suppose, in the light of that as well.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say about that as yet?
I think like for me, it's just being confident.
Confident in who you are.
Yeah, confident in who I am. Yeah. Confident in my leading. And realising that they are for me. Yeah. And they want me, they've not put me in this role to fail. No. They've put me in this role because they believe in me and they believe in my leadership. So there's a belief there. And then keeping those lines of communication open and is really important. I suppose in one sense, some people, I was just thinking of this as we're talking, some people could see that as a negative having them there.
But actually, it's a real positive, isn't it, if you think about it deep down, because like they've got your back, haven't they? Where like if you went in as a pastor to another church, you don't know anybody. At least you've grown here. People know you. That you've always got challenges as well, that sort of stuff, but they know you.
Yeah, and I'd encourage anyone who's maybe a senior leader who's transitioning out, but you're staying in the church. I think one of the big things you can do is be like on the front row.
Cheering them on.
Yeah. Being their biggest supporter.
Yeah, definitely.
Even little things like when someone comes up to you, I liked it when you did this. Yeah. Say, but they do it better. Yeah, or, it's just
I've heard your dad say that a lot recently. Yeah. He does it better.
Yeah.
I'll say no more. I'm just joking.
No, it's good. So you yourself transitioned.
Yeah, so my role changed quite significantly as well, I suppose in the last year and a half, because I went from a senior leader role leading two churches. We pulled all our churches together, didn't we? So I brought my two churches, which were the Hub Church, into Icon Church. And so it's been a bit of a transition for me from my role as well as a senior leader, thinking about everything that you would normally think about as a senior leader, to, I suppose, narrowing that down to focus on a few key things. Which is, it's been exciting, but also a bit of a shift, I think, in my mind. Do you know what I mean? Because you're going from running like at 100 miles an hour with lots of different things to suddenly then you're still running, you're going quick, but you're running with fewer things, but you can give more focus to.
Yeah.
And that's been good. So some of the things that we've been able to give focus to is one, like something like this, the podcast. It allowed us then to put this out, help leaders, help churches, and some of the stuff we're doing as well.
No, brilliant. Yeah. Right, let's dive in. To Dave's pot of
Could be anything in here.
Here we go. Oh, seeing as we've talked transition.
Right.
The topic is Icon Open.
Icon Open.
Which is one of the things that has been your focus. So why don't you, for anyone who doesn't know, or maybe they've just tuned into the podcast, what is Icon Open? Yeah. And maybe just share a little bit around what's happened.
Yeah, we can do that. So Icon Open, as you say, is one of the sort of projects I've been heading up for us. And for anyone who hasn't come across it before, it is a resource site filled with lots of stuff on there that churches or leaders and teams can go to, and they can download the resources that we've created, and we want to give them a second life. Really, we've put them back out there, and so we've hundreds and hundreds of resources on there. Where, let's say, for example, someone just wants to put together a message, but they need a spark of an idea, or someone needs like a leadership talk or a leadership idea or some insight into something. Well, hopefully they can come to our resource site, icon.church/open.
Yep.
And they can get on there for free with hundreds of resources. They can download them. We've sort of taken our branding off them so they can use them in their own context. And we launched it back in Easter this year.
Yes.
And I think since then we've probably had round about 25,000 hits on our website of people searching for the content. So it's brilliant. So the big passion is how can we resource other people? How can we resource other churches and leaders and teams? Because people need help.
Yeah.
And churches need help. And it doesn't matter what size the church is. To be honest, like on Icon Open, the amazing thing is we've got some really big churches who have signed up.
Yep.
And obviously I can't really name them today, but there's some really big churches across the world. And then there's some smaller churches like a new church plant or anything of that nature. So there's lots out there where people are searching. And we've got lots of great content. There's other great content out there. We're not the only one doing this. But it's something we want to do as Icon Church because we just want to be generous.
Yeah.
And show our generosity to the Capital C Church. So that's a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know as, when we started out as a youth pastor, you'd go searching on certain sites for ideas, resources, would use some of those. Some of those would take and then, adjust them to fit our context. And so, we're not precious about use it in whatever way.
Do whatever you want. I think that's the heart. Do whatever you want with it. I mean, if you want to use some of it, I like the phrase steal like an artist. Do you know what I mean? So take it, use it. If it's going to help your church and help your team grow and help you as a leader grow, we'd rather give it away free and let people use it, and at least it helps them, doesn't it? Rather than sitting somewhere in a church somewhere.
And it's where all our podcasts are stored.
Yep. We've got a podcast
on there with show notes.
Yeah.
So
we've got lots on there. So all the
loads.
podcasts, all the resources, so they give people an idea. If they haven't been on, there's stuff on there around messages, youth stuff, kids stuff, creative and worship, general. What else? Anything else? Did I miss anything?
Off the top of my head, can't think of any. Staff talks.
Staff talks, behind the scenes stuff.
Leadership,
That's
behind the scenes. So so really good. Great.
On to you then.
Come on.
Yeah, I forgot it was a random show. That's what it was. I forgot it was random, so we were waiting on something. Okay, so let's see what we can get out for you today as well. Okay, we have family.
Family.
Okay, so tell us, your family's changed a little bit this year.
A little bit, a lot.
Yeah, you've got a little bit grayer on the side. No, it's not quite yet.
No.
But come on, tell us what's happened in your family this year. What's been the big change for you?
So, as well as transitioning to being campus pastor, me and my wife Debbie, we had one son. His name is Zion, and now we've got three sons. Adopted 2 boys, and that happened around the similar time, just at the end of August as well. So life has got a lot more full. Yeah. I don't like using the word busy. No, a lot more full.
Feels better.
Yeah, a lot more full. So it's been a big family shift going from 1 to 3. Yeah. And big realization. So to give you a little bit of context, Zion is 8 and was at that point where you can pass him his clothes, he can get himself dressed. You can say to him, go and brush your teeth. Yeah. You've got to watch him, but he will brush his own teeth. Yeah. Whereas now the boy is there 2 and 1. And so they need
back to square one, really, isn't it?
Back to that. But also it was, you didn't get that easing of, you got a baby. Yep. It was straight into toddler and 1-year-old. So yeah, it's been fun. So
I tell you what I was thinking of a little bit, if you don't mind sharing. I mean, see how you go. Yeah. But I was trying to think, what's it been like? I mean, because obviously you've got one child, you've got all your love and attention is going to that one child, and then suddenly you've got another 2. Yeah. I want to say almost overnight. I know there's a process and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But suddenly to love one son and then love another 2. Yeah. How's that felt?
I think anyone who's had more than one kid probably felt, would I be able to? Yeah. And then it just happens. Yeah. And it was the same. We went through a transition process where for 10 to 14 days, I can't remember what it was, we'd be going to where they were placed, they'd be coming to us for full days, and you'd be spending time together, getting to know them. But after a few days it was they could come, be at home and be part of our family. And I guess it was a mindset thing for me and my wife, that as soon as we'd made the decision, they're part of our family. Yeah. which gave me a bigger perspective, not to go all spiritual, but gave me a bigger perspective on when the Bible talks about us being adopted, that it was like this moment of when we made the decision they're part of our family, they were part of our family. And it was just like, that's it. Yeah. They're in the family. There's nothing else about it. I know we've got, different processes, but it just gave me a bigger perspective on God and the power of that whole thing of us being adopted into the family of God.
And that's instant, isn't it? It's that instant love, instant acceptance.
Yeah.
And like without, you said not to get too spiritual, we're not getting too spiritual. No. But there is something powerful. I can even remember when I became a follower of Christ when I was 19. Like, that's one of the things that really hit me hard, was suddenly I had all these new family members around me. Yeah. Like, I had lots of friends and all that, but suddenly to feel that I belonged to something. Yeah. So I get what you're saying there, that sort of instant feeling.
And other parents' journeys might be different in terms of adoption. That was our journey. And that's okay. And we would say a phrase here that I love in church. We'd say, you belong before you believe. Yeah, yeah. And so, there might be other things. And I think there are moments where you do have that. It was easier when we just had one. But I think every parent of multiple kids says the same.
Well done to you guys
much.
And your family situation. So,
right,
what do you got
Dave.
in there?
Here we go.
It could be anything.
Could be anything. Oh, here we go. Mate, you were getting all the easy ones, I think.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Go on then.
Coaching.
Okay.
So, obviously, we've got coaching as part of our Icon Open. Yeah. But you yourself are doing some coaching. And I want to mention this. You're doing coaching with, like, our campus pastors. Yeah. You've done some training on this. Yeah. And, our campus pastors reflecting on that coaching are saying it's really helpful. So I wondered if you'd dive in. I know we've asked this question before, but why does senior leaders need a coach? What's the importance of coaching? Yeah.
Well, it's a great topic. It is an easy one, but it's one, I suppose, it's close to my heart at the minute. I love the coaching, I have to say. It's an exciting thing to do. And I've been thinking a little bit like before, like, because we did pull up this question before, why do senior leaders or leaders need a coach? I think they need a coach because they need someone to listen to them. They need someone to think with them. And sometimes it's easier to do that with somebody outside their context. Yeah. Like if a senior leader's watching or listening, maybe they're thinking about stuff and they're generating their ideas in their head, but they're not quite at a point where they want to take it to their team. Yeah. Because they're not sure 100%. Well, that's where a coach comes in. Yeah. So to have a coach come alongside you to help process the thinking, to help to get you on a journey from A to B, that's why coaching's brilliant and really helps people. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So both internally we've been using it and externally as well with other church leaders. And we've got it on the website as well there. Yeah. So if people are interested, they can find out about it. Yeah. But it's an exciting thing. It's different. It's similar to a normal conversation. Yeah. But it's within a container, if I put it that way.
I've experienced
You've experienced it, haven't you?
So if I say it like this, you're able to get, so it maybe you'll come with a topic or something you're thinking about. Yeah. And through coaching, it's not like you've thrown in, here's all my ideas.
Yeah, correct.
It's like, let me ask you a few questions, and then you get to the end, and through those questions, we've been able to process through those questions to get to a point of this is a next step.
Definitely.
And I think that's so important because you can have a topic, you can research it, and you can have all of these ideas, but I think what coaching has helped me to do anyway is focus and go, okay, that's my next step. Yeah. That's the next thing. And also then, if you do it on a regular, so it's not just a one-time, hold you accountable. Hold accountable,
and there's a bit of trust there as well that builds with people. Yeah. And I think the other thing, just to point out, is it's not transactional. You know, like you were saying, like it's not like a coach comes or anybody who's doing coaching, pure coaching, shouldn't come and say, "Here's the 5 things you've got to do." Yeah. They've got to be listening to the person, helping them think, and then getting the questions out of what they're saying. So I can't come into a coaching session. So here's my top 10 questions.
No.
Because they never work.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So I come ready to listen, to help process, to help people think. And it's been a real joy just to step into that. And of course, like in leadership, like I've been having coaching type conversations for the last 20 years. But these ones are a little bit different because they're more structured.
Yeah.
And if I put it this way, coaching happens, transformation happens inside a container. So what I mean by that is, if you think of baking, now I'm not a good baker by any means, so this is probably wasted on us, really.
Yeah.
But the idea is, like, if you imagine, like, you've got eggs, you've got flour, you've got all that sort of stuff, they're all separate items.
Yeah.
But when you put them together, you create a cake.
Yeah.
So in other words, transformation takes place inside the container itself. And that's how coaching works. So I'm more interested in what's the transformation we can happen rather than how can we transact. How can I tell you 10 things? Yeah. There's a lot of that out there on YouTube. We're not interested in that. And as you say, like coaching, it does really help. So we would encourage, if you are a senior leader, like even if you don't come to us, go to somebody. Because leaders need someone to talk to.
Definitely.
And not just in their team.
And I'd encourage, personally, if you're a younger leader, that you get a coach.
Definitely.
Maybe you're just starting out and you're like, where do I get some answers to questions?
Definitely.
But maybe it's not the answers. You just need someone to journey through those questions with.
That's the exciting
them.
thing. Discover through with you, walk through with you.
Yeah.
And I know that's the sort of stuff that's been useful internally and also, as I say, externally. My big top recommendation, even if people don't come to us for coaching, we have it there. But if they don't, look, senior leaders, they need to go. Young leaders, they need to go. They need to get a coach because really, they will find the benefit. Like a year down the line, they'll think, why did I not have a coach? It's like that. You've got to experience it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. No, that's been my experience. Why didn't I have a coach?
Yeah.
But, and in many different fields, people have coaches.
They do.
Sporting fields, all of that, they have coaches.
Yeah.
So we should, for me, why not have a coach?
Get them inside. Definitely. Oh, so it's you now.
Yes,
okay.
Come on, Dave.
I can keep going on that all day.
I know.
As you can see there.
Always.
Right, got two there.
Out.
Right, here we go. So, your next one is, the biggest thing that you've learned. What shall we say in the last year?
Yes, let's say
What's the biggest thing you've learned?
Last year. The biggest thing I've learned in the last year, I probably mentioned it in the transition, but that communication is key.
Definitely.
And that actually you cannot over-communicate something. So one of the things that I've probably said over years, but, trying to put more into practice is the whole over-communication. So, you might have a staff team or you might have leaders or team leaders or people you're leading in whatever sphere you're in. And you can say things multiple times and you're thinking, I've said this a lot. But that's the point where you're thinking, I've said this a lot, is where it's probably just beginning to drop into people that this is important. And especially in church life where you might have a staff meeting, you might have your leaders meetings, you might have different areas where you are saying the same thing and then you're going to get up on a Sunday and say the same thing. But you've got to realize that Sunday will be the first time someone hears it. Correct. That leaders meeting might be the first time someone hears it. And so the whole thing around communication being key with your team, but also it being key in terms of moving things forward.
So that's been your biggest learner.
Yeah, I think
in the sense of over-communicate.
Over-communicate.
Yeah. And I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Like,
and not assuming, assuming people know.
No.
Because then you get into, there have been moments where I might have assumed, and then you get there and you're like, surely I said that, and it didn't happen.
Because there's always that one person who's been left out somewhere, isn't it?
Exactly.
And you think you've told them, or you have, and they haven't heard it. It's like the old thing with church. I don't want to call them church notice of church news or whatever. And someone says, I never knew about that.
Just relying on that.
Yeah, well, it's been on the screen for the last 6 weeks. Anyway. But over-communicate has been your biggest learner.
Yeah. What about you?
I think without harping back, I think going back to the coaching, I think, personally, like I went through some coach training to allow me to coach better.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing is to understand the difference, in my mind, between coaching pastoring.
Right.
Now, there is an overlap.
Yeah.
But the big difference is pastors always want to fix things.
Yeah.
Right? So we always want to come with a solution.
Yeah.
Which is not always right.
Yeah,
but we always want to come. But when you're doing coaching, you're trying to equip.
Yeah.
So it's about equipping and helping somebody solve their own problems rather than coming and try and fix their problems.
Yeah.
Now, I'm saying that's pastoring. That's how a lot of people do pastoring.
Yeah.
And I think we shouldn't do pastoring that way.
No.
Because like I just experienced over years, people come to you with all sorts of stuff. And in your mind, you're thinking, how am I going to fix this for them?
Yeah.
And my big discovery this year, actually, it's not my responsibility to fix it for them. I'll listen, I'll point them, I'll help them.
Yeah.
But it was through the coach training, actually, that I received that helped me to grab that. Now, I'd been thinking about it for a while, but it just solidified it for me, this idea that actually it's not my job to fix people as a pastor or a leader, but it's my job to equip people, lead people, and help them find the answers for themselves.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Right. Let's dive in. What have we got here?
So I wonder if this is going to be our last one.
Yeah.
What do you think? Or do you want another one?
No, we can save these for another time.
We could.
Yeah.
No, go on. Go for
We'll go for
another
this one.
And then let's do one each.
One
That's
each.
What we'll do, one each.
One each. That means I've done more than you, but...
Does it?
Yeah.
That's all right. You're younger than me. You're younger.
All right. Daily rhythms that help.
Daily rhythms that help.
Yeah.
Okay, so say some more about it. What do you want to draw out?
So maybe not so much in the usual read your Bible and pray, because we know that. Now let me encourage you, do that.
Yeah.
That's a great daily rhythm, and that will help you.
Yeah.
But maybe outside of the context of the church world, of those maybe some spiritual practices, what are some daily rhythms that you would do that help?
Okay, so now
because I don't have any.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a few things I do. Now I'll do them most days, but not every day.
Yeah. Okay.
But most days. So if I say like throughout the year, probably for me 90%, if I hit it that way. So a few things I do is a journal. Now that's connected with the praying.
Yeah.
But I've been journaling and writing stuff down for the last 30 years. Now I got into it because I became a Christian, and I began to read the Bible, and I simply just began to write down what I think God's saying. Now, do you have to be a Christian to do that? Of course you don't. I mean, it's gone wildfire, isn't it, journaling?
Yeah, massive.
You know what I mean? But I tell you what, it's powerful. When you journal, you write down, you go back, and you read what you've written. You know, I remember like going back and think, oh, did I really write that? That sounds pretty good, actually. Didn't know I was that smart, you know what I mean? But it just comes to you at the time you write it down. So that's one thing I do, and I do that pretty much every day. I'll journal. The second thing I've got into the habit of doing for the last 4 or 5 years is I do some sort of breathing technique.
Yeah.
So I use what's called the Wim Hof breathing technique. Now, Wim Hof is known as the Iceman.
Iceman, yeah.
He's out there from Holland or whatever. So, but I've been using that practice, and the reason I do it is because it helps with the sympathetic nervous system. You know, your nervous system sort of helps you to quiet down. It goes from fight and flight to rest recovery.
Yeah.
And that type of breathing can really help sort of breaking that, and it builds a bit of resistance and resilience as well in the body. So I do that one.
Okay.
So that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing I do, we're sort of privileged at home. We have a sauna.
Yeah.
So I use that again in the same way. Most mornings I'll do hot sauna, cold shower.
Wow.
And again, that just builds a little bit of resilience in the body and a bit of natural sort of tension in the body, but good, healthy tension. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So some of those things I do, those are sort of the practices, and of course exercise.
Yeah.
You got to exercise. So those are a few things I do pretty much every day. There's a few more I can add in there, but depends how much you want.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I think my personality type is like, oh, this is the next thing, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I've finished that, now I'll do something else. And I think it is good to just have a rhythm.
Yeah. I think the thing I find recently, I was chatting with another leader actually, and we started doing something together. And I realised actually that I'm pretty consistent and stuff. So when I start something, I don't want to stop. I just keep going until whenever. So that's why when I start something like that, for me, the consistency is the key. Yeah. Because if you start it for a wee while and then stop, that's the challenge. Now, I like the change as well. Yeah. But something for me about consistency.
Well, consistency compounds, doesn't it?
It does.
So, you go out running for 1 week. Yeah. You just run for 1 week. It's not really going to have an effect. But you go out running for a year.
It soon builds up, doesn't it?
It soon builds up. Yeah. And so it's the same.
So if I can just drop, I mean, you did mention prayer and you did mention, Bible reading. But although we take that as normal. Yeah. But you will be surprised how many leaders, and there's no judgment from us or anything, but you will discover there's a lot of leaders who don't even have that as a rhythm. Yeah. And if you're a leader in a church, it's essential. Yeah. You've got to have the basic rhythms of prayer, Bible reading, those sort of things that really help focus definitely. You. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really good. And for you, have you got any like that? I know you said you're not a big one for it. Yeah, so I've been able to build a rhythm. I'm not going to say I do it every single day, because there might be the odd day where you miss, but, in reading the Bible and prayer, and want to always try and start the day doing that. Good. For me, that's my best time. Yeah. And I want to invest my best time into my relationship. That's good, though. With God. Yeah, definitely. But also, I want to start my day there. Yeah. So that then my day flows out of that, rather than, and it can be different for other people. They might want to finish their day there, focusing. But for me, I start my day. I'd probably like to get in the rhythm of starting and ending the day like that. That's a good way to go with that as well. But yeah, that might be a next step for me. That could be a next coaching conversation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I was trying to think through it a little bit as well. There is something powerful about having those rhythms, having the consistency, and it's almost like, I think once you build a little bit of a framework. Yeah. Let's say here's the 5 things I'm going to do. Yeah. Or that are essential to my well-being. You don't have to be rigid with those. No. Because that's boring after a while. And so I have the basic stuff, but I'll swap it around. Yeah. I'm not going to say, every morning at this time, I'm going to read the Bible. I'm going to do... I am consistent, but I'll swap them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'll say, well, I just want to read the Bible this morning, or I just want to pray, or, swap it up a bit, really, because if not, then it gets a bit boring as well. Yeah. Yeah. Are we ready then for your last question? Last one, come on then. Right, last question in our random show. Come on. I think it's gone all right. It has been an experiment. It's been random. So let's see what happens. Football. It's very random. This show is very random. So say something about football. If people are really interested, I'm not too sure they are. So for our American listeners, soccer. But really it's football, because we kick it proper with our foot, and it's a ball. It is. Anyway, so I still play semi-professional football here in England. And how old are you? I'm 35. 35. So coming right to the end of my career, hanging on, but they still value me. They still want me to play. They still want you. They're still paying, so you're okay? Yeah, I'm still getting a little bit of money for playing, which is always a bonus. Yeah. And there's a footballer in England, you may have heard of him, Jamie Vardy, played for England. Heard you mention him once or twice before. Won the Premier League with Leicester. I played with him for a full season at a club called Stocksbridge Park Steels, of which we've got a campus in Stocksbridge. We do have a campus in Stocksbridge, that's true. So yeah, played together for a full season, and then Jamie Vardy went on to win the Premier League, and here I am, campus pastor at Icon Church, and I would not swap it for the world. You're not bitter, are you? Not at all. Not at all. No. But you'll take some of his money if he sends it. Well, yes, if he wants to tithe to the church, we'd definitely. No. So listen, football then. The thing for me, I like football, but only if it's big games, like the World Cup, Euro Cup, and all that sort of stuff. So it got me thinking a little bit before I come to a question for you. I was on a call last week with a guy. He's going to be on the podcast, a guy called Simon Holst. Yeah. and he heads up a great church in Sweden. He's going to be a guest with us on the podcast. But right at the end of our sort of getting to know you conversation, he said to me, he says, "Oh, which team do you support?" Because obviously I said I live near Manchester.
Yeah.
And it threw me a little bit because, like, I don't really support any team.
Yeah.
So I was trying to rack my brain and think, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
And, you know, in your mind, I was trying to think of something really strong and macho. And I said, oh, I like to walk. I like to walk in the forest to relax. And, you know, when you said it, I think, this just doesn't sound right. I like to hug trees. Anyway, we'll say no more. So, Simon, when he comes on the show.
I can talk to you about football,
You can talk to him
Simon.
about football. It's just not my forte. But listen, what give us a couple of lessons that leaders can learn from football or your time.
So for me, you're only as good as a team. Together.
Definitely.
So you're only as good as the attitude of the team. So I've played in teams that have really great players. Attitude's not been great.
No.
And then I've played in teams where I would say the players weren't as good, and yet we've done better because the attitude was better.
Yeah, I like that.
And so the attitude of the team is a key factor on that. It's not all about, talent.
And right across everything, really, isn't it? And some of the big companies they say that, we hire for attitude and then rather than gifting.
Yeah.
And there's something in that. I mean, it's good if you have both. Like that's what every team wants, and every church wants both gifting and attitude.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you could choose one, always go for attitude.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to put gifting in.
Yeah.
Or train people than it is to change an attitude.
Yeah. There's a quote in football that gets said, "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard."
I like that.
And so that's kind of like the phrase around that. And then the other thing, coming back onto the communication, is you'll get your best out of the players if you bring them on board. So communicating, bringing them on board.
Where are you going? What are you doing?
Yeah, and even, in football, soccer, but in most sports, team sports, there are people who are going to be on the substitutes bench. The ability to communicate with them and still have them on board is a real key, because you're going to need them in certain games in the season.
Very good. Well, hey, we're done, aren't we?
Yeah,
this is our random show.
Yeah.
We've probably got some more questions in here. We'll keep those for our next random show.
Yeah.
But really, we want some of our viewers or listeners to send
definitely.
in. What are the questions they're thinking about?
Yeah.
Because as a leader, you've always got a question.
Yeah, it could be about personal rhythms, like we've talked about. It could be about church life. It could be about leadership. It could even be off the back of one of our podcasts or even our resources. Anything you've just got a question about, we'd love to answer those questions.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
So that's us done for today. Do you want to wrap up?
Yeah. So thanks for listening to the Church Explained podcast. It's been so great to be together. If you could like, review, share, subscribe, wherever you're consuming this content makes a massive difference to us at the Church Explained podcast. And we look forward to seeing you next time on the Church Explained podcast. We'll see you very soon.